Hey everyone, happy Friday. Hello, Alice. Alice says, hey, party people, happy Friday. Yes, happy Friday to all. Hi, BB5999. Thank you so much for joining us today also. It is Friday. I'm personally really excited for the weekend because, well, actually, we've been watching, we restarted watching Great British Bake Off, I think yesterday night. And so we had like gone through all of the ones on Netflix like a month ago, or like we started when Shelter in Place started in March. And then we like slowly went through like all four seasons on Netflix. And I think we finished that like maybe in July or something. Um, and so we like took a break from that, and then we went back to a few days ago. We like started watching the beginnings season on Netflix. And I'm a little bit sad because I think that's the very last season that's on Netflix that we like haven't watched yet. So we're like trying to go through it really slowly, or at least that's what I think, that we're going through it slowly so that like we can savor the very last season. Anyways, so because of that, and then we've been like, kind of watching these like different like baking YouTube channels or like cooking YouTube channels. So there's one that we watch a lot called like Sorted, or Sorted Food, and they were like, they did an episode on like milfoy, and now I'm like, oh my God, after the stream, we must go to a bakery. And so, after the stream, I'm gonna research nearby bakeries so that we can go to a bakery and get baked goods. Um, yeah, that's what I'm very excited about right now. Oh, hello, Pranav. Thanks for joining again today. And hi, Majestic Mac. Um, yeah, I hope your Fridays are going well too. Um, and I would love to know what you're excited about for the weekend. I'm not quite sure. Oh, I think this weekend we might be going to my studio office to like go and get my standing desk because I think I've been really stubborn for I guess, oh my God, it's been like 5 or 6 months now being like, no, like, I'm gonna have be able to go back to the office soon. But yeah, I think I've been very stubborn about the length of the shelter in place. I mean, like, I think officially the shelter in place orders have been lifted, so technically we can, but from like a like public health concern perspective, I don't think it's, yeah. Anyways, so I finally, I think, come to terms with the fact that I'm not going to be able to um like, well, technically speaking, we can go back into the studio office fine, if it's like one person at a time. But one of the things I really love about our studio office is like when like like multiple of us are there and we get to catch up. And that's not gonna happen anytime soon. So thinking of just going in and getting the standing desk, so that I can switch between sitting and standing, because sitting all day working is not good for my back. Um, Pranav says that's right. It's supposed to be a heat wave this weekend. He says the super hot weather in the Bay Area. Alice says this weekend is a heat wave. You're right. So actually, even yesterday, it looked really cold and gray outside the window, and we were like, "How is it going to be a heat wave this weekend?" But now today, it's like really beautiful and sunny. So I guess it is going to be a heat wave. Though I also heard that it's not going to be like as bad as a few weeks ago, that like at least like in SF, and um that like it's going to be worse inland, but not as bad here. But I certainly hope it doesn't cause more trouble for all of the fires that happen. I haven't been keeping up to date with whether the fires have all been contained or not. DT says food. I agree. That's what I look forward to on the weekends too, because it's when we go grocery shopping. So it's like new fresh food. Alice's idea. Whenever we go to the studio, we should leave little notes for each other for the recipient to find a month later. Oh my gosh! So it was such a cute idea, and actually that happened the last time I was in the studio. I went into the studio to um, record a talk, and Amy had left a really cute note for me. I'm like looking it up in my photos, but then I just realized like um, I'm just gonna keep it for myself. But it was a really cute something along the lines of like, "Oh, good luck with your recording," or something like that. Super cute. Oh, yeah, it really was actually. I'll just show it. But it was just like it was just on my desk, and I was like, oh, I love little things that we do for each other like this. Really love our studio, and Alice says, "Oh my God, a few weeks ago was so yeah." So we just happened to luck out a few weeks ago where we went down to LA to visit my parents. So we missed the heat wave here. Although we like we're here for like the very start of it, and then we missed like the really bad parts because we were down in LA. And I think LA was having a little bit of a heat wave too, but the difference is that my parents' place in LA has air conditioning, unlike most older places, older homes in the Bay, or at least in the like South, like San Francisco Peninsula area. There isn't like a lot of the older apartments and condos don't have AC. So, um, yeah. Pranav says, totally agree. Super sad about the fires in Point Reyes and Santa Cruz. Yeah, yeah, I haven't been keeping up to date about how that's been going, but I remember like maybe a week or two ago, the area was really large, so I hope everything has been okay. DT says that's so nice. Yeah, it is. It is. Like the notes were super cute. Yeah, there's like often little things that because we're like a really small studio of like only 5 people. I really like that. I really like that it's such a small studio and we just have like a kind of tight knit like community slash friendship. And then sometimes well when we used to be able to go into the studio together, we used to kind of invite like we would either like once in a while we would have friends come over to co-work with us, and that would be really fun. Or we would have like um, I really liked Catherine has started a like the craft afternoon that I mentioned on Wednesday, and then we had invited friends over, and then just like being able to like cause like everybody's friends are really cool too. So then just doing creative things. So I think that I really miss. I think more than like these like having another office to go into, that's nice, but more than that what I really miss is kind of like the community aspect of it, of like being able to see friends. um yeah, I guess that's most things um but yeah and um oh, I was going to say something else about, oh, and then once a year or so, we would have like a pop-up show, and that would be really fun too, where we like open up the studio to anybody, and we like put up our work, and then that's a really fun one too. But yeah, hopefully we can do that someday, hopefully soon in the future. Um, DT says, as an European aircon, what? Wait, but it gets really hot. It gets really hot in Europe in like the summers and stuff. Like, do you, so what do you do when it gets really hot, like without air conditioning? And Michael says, oh, hello. Thank you so much for joining today too, Michael. It was sunny in Dublin today too. My first swim this year. Wow, but it's already September. I'm surprised that sorry, sorry. I read that as like it was the first sunny day of the year, and I'm like, what? No, that's your first one of the year. Got it. Hey Gilliam, thanks for joining today. Over here, they just increased the pace at the office. It's now 3 days a week instead of two. Oh, so you're office is reopening. That's great. DT says, last time I was in Dublin, I got a sunburn. I felt betrayed. I really want to visit. I've never been to Ireland. I really want to visit. I really want to, like, one of the top things for where we want to go is so there's like two top places that I want to go when we can safely travel again. And one is to Tokyo because I love Tokyo, and the other one is like I really want to go and like I really want to go to like England and Scotland and Ireland. And I've never been to Scotland or Ireland, so I really, really want to do that trip. Because I've always heard how beautiful it is. And oh wow. So Asaluja says, hi, watching your video while waiting for my flight to India from Toronto. That is such a long flight. I hope you stay safe and I hope you're able to travel really safely. But thank you so much for joining in today. Man says, man. Oh my God, Asaluja says 23 hours. I've never been to India, and one of the reasons is because I'm so scared of the length of that flight. I always hear it's like 25 hours or something like that. And you have to do layovers too. That is intense. It's insane. Layover of 4 hours in Paris. At least I'm always like, oh, that's like a fun place to lay over, but like you're just in the airport, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I hope you're able to stay safe in this time of traveling. Um, Man says, just found your project Film Flowers and it looks incredible. Thank you so much. Yeah. Pranav says movies, lots of food and sleeping. I'm guessing that's what the response to the weekend is, and that sounds great also. We'd love to hear what movies you're watching. I think we were gonna check out the latest Pixar film. What was it called? Onward or something? That's on our list, and I think there's also I also I've really been wanting to watch 13. It's just like we don't really sit down for like movie length things often. So it's been on our list for a while. We also have been watching the Asian Americans documentary by PBS, and that's been really eye-opening also. But yeah, I think those are, oh, and I also, the last time we were talking about, we do this a lot where my husband and I, we like talk about the movies we want to watch and then we don't end up watching them. So, so then, for whatever reason, I think another movie we were talking about was like A Beautiful Mind. I've like never watched it and I am really curious about it. But Pranav says movies, lots of food, and sleeping for the traveling to India. Okay, that makes so much more sense. Yeah, but I like personally just can't sit still on a plane for like that long. It's like I I think okay, so for I think I prefer like window seats. I think a lot of people prefer window seats just because like I prefer not to have to be like woken up when I'm like sleeping on a really long flight or something. I think 5 or 6 hours is like the longest I can go without like having to get up. But like that's like unhealthy. Um, but in my most recent number of trips, international trips, I've learned that my favorite seat is not actually on the airplane, is not actually the window seat, but rather the middle seats of the middle aisle. So like the middle aisle with like the four seats or something. The this is so like the middle two seats, either of those of the I like do not like aisle. I hate aisle because I uh hate that I will have to like sometimes like wake up for other people. It's really selfish. And I also really hate like sometimes if I, like am like leaning to the side and then I get like bumped by the like anybody like moving by or like get bumped by like the cart when they're like serving things. But yeah, so my favorite is the middle of the middle, because then if I have to go out to the bathroom or stretch my legs or something, I'm only bothering one person instead of two. So like my feeling of guilt is decreased slightly, and then I don't have to be in aisle. So that's I've decided is the best seat for me for international flights. And then I think I have to get up every like 4 hours or so, 4 or 5 hours, three or somewhere between 3 to 5 hours. That was a lot more information than you needed to know. um, oh my God, you're right, Pranav. Milan is out today. Okay, so I'm really, really disappointed that Milan didn't have a theatrical release. I mean, it makes a lot of sense right now. But and I also think it's kind of ridiculous to have to pay like $20 or whatever it is on top of, I think, the three, whatever the subscription for Disney Plus is. But I'm still gonna do it because I want to support the film. Um, I don't know if the film is good or not. I just really want to support the film. And I really want to support like all of the actors and actresses and like the crew that probably put like so much of like I think I remember like a podcast interview with one of the actors in it, and his name is blanking on me, but just talking about like how excited they were, and how excited he was as an Asian American to like work on such a big film. And so like from that perspective, I really want to support it too. Like I know it's also had a lot of controversy, but yeah, it's very sad that I couldn't go to theaters for it. But Saluja says, hi, yeah, but we'll be working from India for 3 months. That's the best thing with family. Oh, that does sound really, really nice. Michael says, come to Ireland. Yes, Science Gallery in Dublin might host a residency. Just mind the sunburn. That's so unlikely. Sorry. Wait, that's really cool. Science Gallery in Dublin might host a residency. I would love to know more about what you mean by that. And Sully just says, no, we'll be working in Python and D3 while I travel. That's super cool. You mean like while you're traveling in the air. Pranav says, best way to pass time productively. Yes, actually, I've also noticed that sometimes the most, this is also such a weird thing to say, some of the most productive I've been is on an airplane, because then when I'm on the airplane, like I'm too, like especially international flights, I'm too cheap to pay for the Wi-Fi on the plane. So then I just like end up doing like if I have to code, or especially if I have to write, I find that I'm like most productive on there, because I literally cannot have any distractions. Like literally I do not have distractions. And so yeah, I think I've definitely done some. I remember the core of writing for my Hamilton visualization was done on my 17-hour trip to Singapore that I have been procrastinating on for like weeks. And then I finally was like, okay, on this freaking 17-hour flight, it was like not nonstop. I have nothing else I can do other than I guess movies. But like I'm like literally I cannot go get distracted by YouTube or Twitter or Netflix. And so I have to sit down and write this. Asaluja says, I can't sleep while traveling. I also agree with this. I have such a hard time like sleeping on the airplane. DT says, yeah, I had the same thing when I visited Seattle. It was so sunny for the whole week, and everybody wanted to convince that it rains a lot there. It does. It's supposed to rain a lot there. But I've only ever been there in the summer. And like in July and August, it's always beautiful there. But my friends there always tell me that like that's like the 2 months where it's beautiful, and then like rest of the time it rains. Man says, I thought you looked familiar. You were teaching Fret and Masters, right? Yes. Yeah, so I was teaching 3 weeks ago, maybe. And I taught an updated class on an intro to D3. So, Asaluja says, I have a window seat, Shirley. Seriously, middle seat? I love the window seat. Yes. So on domestic flights, I prefer the window seat. because domestic flights are the rows are like three and three. So then I prefer the window seat because on domestic flights it's like less than 5 or 6 hours. So like I don't need to bother anyone because I don't need to like get out. So I like to like stay in my bubble in the window seat. But on an international flight where they go 3 4 3 in terms of like the seats, then I love the middle of the middle seat. Because I do not, well, okay, so here's, oh, that was the other thing. So nobody will have to bother me to get out to go to the bathroom. I only need to bother one person to go to the bathroom, and it's not aisle. Three reasons why I love the middle seat on an international flight. Gilliam says Shirley's idea of selfishness is to bother the less people possible when taking a walk. um, uh, uh, I have no response. No, there's other places I'm very selfish too. Um, yeah, okay. Anyways. Oh, DC says, was it Jimmy Wong? Yes, it was Jimmy Wong on Mulan. And he, I think, had a podcast with Corridor Digital. I think he went on like a podcast with Corridor Digital, I think. And he was describing like his experience on there and how excited he was. So, like, just kind of imagining the actors and actresses' experience of like doing such a huge production Hollywood movie. Um, yeah, I wanted to go and support that. Michael says, I think Lauren McCarthy did something in Science Gallery a few years back on a P5 project. That's so cool. Science Gallery, Dublin, residency? Yeah. I would love to do another residency. Ooh, look at that. Um, recent open calls. Ooh, that's awesome. Something to look into. Ooh, Systems Accenture Artist Residency. Ooh, I wonder if this is what you're talking about. Because this is Science Gallery in Dublin. So that must be it. Yeah, so this is a February application. Yeah, I'll definitely check this out. Thank you for letting me know, Michael. This is awesome. Um, oh, Alice says, thank you so much, Alice. Yeah, I really like, so I feel like this stream is now turning half and half into like half just chatting and then like for the last 30 and then like the last 30 or 40 minutes I'm like, oh, let's code something. Which I actually kind of enjoy, just being able to chat. I really enjoy this part. So hopefully you're also okay with the half just chatting and half coding. Um Michael says perhaps it wasn't a residency or commission more here. PPLKRR. No, LKPR. Ooh, Lauren and Kyle McDonald. What is this? I wonder, app that algorithmically determines how people make you feel. Cool. Huh. I wonder. Yeah, I wonder what this was, if this was a commission or a residency, or I wonder what this was. Okay, so we can read this later, or I can read this later. Um, uh, oh, hi, hello, Anna. Thank you for joining the chat today. Jerry says it's all fun and games until you end up in a large guy sandwich. Oh no! Oh my God, there was one time I was like taking the flight, I think from Tokyo to Beijing, and I think it was like a really small, it was like a really small airplane. So I think it was like maybe it was, I don't know why. Oh, but it was only two chairs that time around, like on the side. I can't remember. It was like 232, or I guess maybe it was a 232 airplane, maybe two seats, three seats, two. And then I was like window seat, and this like really, yeah, that was an unpleasant experience. But he was like, I don't think he was like excessively large, but he like man spread, and so he like just like took up both uh like uh like arm rests, and I was like, dude. I mean, it was only, I think, a 2 hour flight or a 2 or 3 hour flight. So I was like, I don't want to get into any sort of a fight with this Chinese dude because my Chinese is horrible. So I can't out argue him. And when Chinese people get into a fight, it is intense. So I'm not going to like fight this like big, like middle aged, mean looking Chinese dude. But he was like spreading, and I was very unhappy. Yeah. Um, I really wish that I have the um ability to like, I don't know, choose someone out in Chinese, but I don't. I don't know how to offend or insult anyone in Chinese. So, my Chinese is really bad. Um, yeah, but I guess it's not a sandwich. That's just like a one-sided, like it's not, it's just like a one-sided, like a, I guess like a open toast or something. Um, And Anna says, hope you all are having a lovely start to the weekend. Yeah, actually. So, oh, this is something I'm really excited about. I'm working with a new client, and I'm really excited because it will get, what we're working on is going to get published in their magazine, in hopefully December or January. This is the first time that I'm working on like a print visualization. So I'm very excited, and I just finished the first rough sketch yesterday, and I sent it over. And they seem to be really positive. They responded quite positively. So I'm so I guess all of that to say, I finished my hard work yesterday, and then today is like doing this. I actually also worked a little bit on um, our project yesterday, so I have some updates to show you. And then, like, we're working on this. Like, I just have this today, and then maybe like work a little bit on something else, and then like welcome the weekend. And it's really sunny and beautiful, so that's awesome. And uh, Oh, Alice says, absolutely. It feels like a very studio co-working vibe. I know. Chatting about life as well as working. Yes. So I love joining Alice and Amy. Alice and Amy both have streams of their own. So I love joining their streams because that's how it feels too. Alice and Amy are two of my studio mates. And so it just feels like we're in a studio co-working together when I join their stream too. And he says, oh man, it's great. He literally was like, his like legs were spread so wide and his like arms were on the armrest, and I'm like, dude, and I'm like over here just being like, okay, I like wish I like could have told him my frustration in Chinese, but that would not have been, that would not have, I could tell it would not have gone well if I expressed my opinion in Chinese. um Hello, quiet deviant, thanks for joining today too. um Gilliam says, read December or January, crossing fingers. Yes. So, hopefully, they said either December or January. If nothing, if like nothing else like pushes out those plans. Um, Gigi says, I can only insult people and ask, how are you in Russian? Um, that's it's also very useful. Well, actually, no, I feel like I'd be really scared to insult someone in Russian. So Pranav says, super cool how this print visualization works. So this is my first time. So but I think the most interesting difference that I have to like design difference that I have to think a lot about, even in terms of like trying to figure out like what kind of visualization I want to make, is that I um tend to rely a lot on interaction in my like web-based visualizations. Like I love, I tend to prefer more, a little bit more of like a minimal style. And so I prefer like maybe showing the first layer of information when you get to the page, but then like maybe kind of hiding some of the secondary information on like click or hover, or like I really love being able to tell a story via like animation or via some other interactions, maybe like filtering. And so none of those are available to me on this print visualization, and it's a one-page visualization too. So then like the thus far, in terms of like trying to think through the rough sketch, the interesting challenges have been one, how to boil down the story so that it fits into that one page. Like I think I have so much habit of being like, oh, this is so interesting, this is so interesting, like I want to put all of it in there, and in a web-based thing, like I can, because then I can, like, if there's like anything interesting, it just like, it's just like a page that just gets longer and longer, and I can just like put all those things in there. And but with this one pager, I can't. So I have to like really narrow, like hone in on like the key part of the story of whatever the story the client wants to also tell. And so that's, I think, really good to practice for me, just because I'm the like scope creep kind of person. Um, and then the second thing that's really interesting is like I have to be able to show all of the information at once. Like I can't hide anything on any interaction. So like trying to figure out not only like what is the like um kind of the like it's the like fine balance of like um the minimum amount of things to show, to visualize, to tell the story, but the maximum amount of things to show, um, to make sure that like that kind of narrower story, that everything we're showing really supports that, if that makes sense. Um, so it is, I think, a really great practice in restraint, that I appreciate getting the chance to do, because um, I already feel like my scope is like ballooning with this one too. I have a really hard time just being like containing myself. And uh, cautious hopeful, hello, says, would you use Illustrator or something similar for the print viz? Yes. So this is well, they the client themselves prefer getting the final output as an Illustrator file. So my current plan is probably to do the like data analysis and design prototyping in Observable, just so I don't have to stand up my own like local web server or anything. And then I'm probably going to export that, because I think if I remember correctly, Observable has a somewhere it lets me, I think, export. There's like an embed option or something. If not, then I think I can just like go and right click, and then I should be able to um this one's canvas. That's why, because this one's canvas. So if this was SVG, I should be able to like export, or like I should be able to just in my DOM, I can copy the whole like SVG and all of its children, and then I can paste that into Illustrator. Um, I just have to be careful, because when I did that previously, I remember there were certain things that don't translate over. Like I think if I do any sort of like patterns in SVG or filters, if I do any filters in SVG, it doesn't translate over to Illustrator. So that's something I have to be careful with. But other than that, I think it should be fine. So my plan is to kind of get the general visualizations done in Observable, and then like copy that over to Illustrator and add like all of the annotations and the legends. Um, yeah, just because I think the like annotations and legends are the parts that are like more cumbersome to do with code. So then like being able to do them with Illustrator is like much faster. Um, Gilliam says, I'm sure SVG can be copyright in. Yes, yeah. So I don't have an SVG. Oh, actually, no. Is this? Yes, this is SVG. So I can show you. If you go to the SVG element in the DOM, then you can right click, and then you can say copy. And then I think either copy element. Yeah, I think copy element will work, and then it will give you that. And then if you just like, I guess we're gonna do this. Then if you copy elements, and then you can just bring it straight over to Illustrator, and then you can tweak it in there. This example is taking a while to load. Oh, New Morale says, You can render SVG, I think, in Vega Lite now. Awesome! I didn't know that. So I would love to know if that's like a specific command I need to use, or. And Pranav also says, I think there's an SVG if you save it as a JSON file for Vega Lite syntax. Huh. And then Pranav says, oh, here. I'll just create new and show you. That took a while for me to open up Illustrator. My poor burning laptop. Oh, it feels really hot. And Pranav has shared a tool with us. Found out about this tool from someone on Twitter who works at the New York Times Graphics. Let me open that up as soon as that did not quite go quite according to plan. Oh, wait. I think I might have to, now that I think about it. Oh, okay. I think I know what happened, which is, there we go. So it's just a very big here. It just ended up being copied over really big. But yeah. So you can copy it over like this. Yeah. Don't save. And hi, Amy. Thanks for joining the chat today too. Gilliam says unzoom, unzoom. DT has just says, I guess it's time for the burning laptop emote again. AI to HTML. Adobe Illustrator that converts your Illustrator documents into HTML and CSS. Ooh, awesome. So this is like going the other way, right? This is like if you have an Illustrator file and this takes it and gives you back the HTML and CSS files that you want. Whereas the one that what I'm doing is going from SVG to essentially HTML, so web, to Illustrator. When I saw AI, I thought it meant like AI isn't like artificial intelligence. It's like, oh, interesting. Okay, so 40 minutes in, let's actually get to our project. So what I ended up doing on, oh, actually no, this is a data collection one. And actually I did do a little bit of an update to the data collection, which is I went and got the production countries also, because I wanted to see, actually, let me back up a little bit. So when we started looking at so these red parts are the foreign languages that have been spoken. And yesterday I went and kind of put in a tooltip also to see what other languages have been spoken, and that's kind of fun too. So this is Michelle Yeoh, and it says mostly these are all Cantonese in here. But when we put the kind of spoken language part into this, I started, one of the things that I jotted down as something I'm interested in. So yeah, so filter movies by those made in Hollywood, question mark. So to be able to get that, I went and took a look at the TMDB API that we had used, and they have something called production countries. I haven't been quite able to research and figure out like the definition of, like, I think it means like my best guess of production countries is that it's all of the countries that have been involved in producing the movie. So like I don't know if that means like it was like filmed in those places. I don't know if it means that like it's production companies from those countries were involved. I'm not 100% sure, but it is something that's available, so I went and got that, and so I reran the script and re-downloaded and re-uploaded it, and then because of that now I've also put in these blue bars. This is like such hacky, like so these blue bars means that it was produced in the USA. Um, and so, for example, it's very interesting because a lot of Constance's films have been produced in the US. But then these are the ones that have had other foreign languages. So this one had apparently Mandarin, next gen. Oh, but this one was not produced in the US. So then with Hustlers, then there was Spanish, and I guess that's Polish. Also interesting that she has a few that were not produced in the US. So I wonder what those are. So that's one of the things I went and did yesterday. And so because of that, I went and kind of it was also ooh, okay, so it's also interesting. Ah, Canada. So because then I had the new countries information, I went and kind of like graphed which countries they've uh, the production countries for the movies they've been in. And so it's interesting because looking at Michelle Yeoh, um, a lot of hers has been in Hong Kong and the US. And but actually, what's interesting is let's see if we take a look at hers. Some wait, that's Tianzhong. Tianzhong also has a lot of filmography. So actually, when I was digging into her non-US, so like all of these parts, some of her first like um foreign films, like non-US, but like non-Hong Kong films were like France or like Sweden, which is also really cool. Um, so then you can kind of see that here, where she does, yeah, France. Oh, I guess not Sweden, Germany, Thailand, Japan. Yeah, very interesting. And Gemma is largely works in the UK and the US. Lisa Liu is US and China. Aquafina, largely the US. Um, Granted, the production countries from TMDB is like an array of like multiple, potentially like multiple different countries. So just wanted to note that. And I also went and did that same set of charts, but now with only US films. Um, so yes. And the last thing I kind of did yesterday was so on Wednesday, we kind of came back with this sort of uh, network graph of all of the people that have um, been in the same movies together. And so I was really curious also about um, which movies they've been in together. So this, hold on, this is, yeah, okay. Ooh. And so these are very messy, but all of the movies that they have all of the movies outside of Crazy Rich Asians that they have co-starred in together. So Lisa Liu and Russell Wong were apparently in the Joy Luck Club together, and something called I think Dim Sum Funeral. But I think the most interesting thing for me from this exercise was that there's been a lot of movies kind of co-starring together after 2018, so after Crazy Rich Asians too. So I think around here is 2018. Yeah, I think this is the 2018 divide, and then these are all of the movies since then that like at least two of the Crazy Rich Asians cast have been in together. So that's also really interesting. And so that actually made me look at like if or so that made me wonder about looking at directors and producers because I was thinking about like you know like how much influence like who kind of has the influence to recommend other actors for like a particular project, and I was thinking like so I'm guessing that at the end of the day, like the people that have the power to do so is like the directors and producers. So I think, for example, for this particular one of like relationships, I think it might be really fun to look at, and then expanding out to um, uh, include the directors and producers as well in terms of this network of like, because they worked together on this one project didn't mean that it led to a lot more in of other projects. Or even I think it might be really fun to see like, were there people that worked together in previous projects, and that's kind of how this one came about. I don't know, I think that'd be really interesting too. And actually this was what I was showing earlier about like US only films, and this actually made me think of for some reason, while I was preparing this and looking at these visuals, I think it's because I was looking at Lisa Liu, and I was reading a little bit more about her and how she's like really internationally acclaimed because I think she started in Beijing, but then she also had a lot of films in the US. Were able to do films in the US. And then one of the films was the Joy Luck Club. So right here, I think I was looking at the Joy Luck Club. I realized I remembered about the Joy Luck Club because that was the one that Lisa Liu and Russell Wong did were in together. Um, and so that actually made me think about let's see, that actually made me think about how one of the things that we heard a lot about in the promotion for Crazy Rich Asians was that it was the first movie since Joy Luck Club to have like an all Asian, like Asian Western, I think, all Asian Western main cast, I think was one of the things that was said a lot about it. And so then I thought one another interesting idea might be because Crazy Rich Asians is like such a recent film. There's only been like 2 years, and one of those years has been a lot of filming has stalled because of a pandemic. So then it might not there might not be as much data for us to look at of like its impact. Certainly, so like so for a lot of the um, cast involved, it's like their second to last film they've done, or Gemma has done a lot since then, but like it's the last one they've done, or so I think for now I'm gonna concentrate on um, like figuring out how to show this information well for Crazy Rich Agents. But like another back of the mind idea is to like kind of like mirror this with like Joy Luck Club, and then see like, in the 20 or 30, 20 plus years since Joy Luck Club, like has anything changed from that? So that's like a back of the mind idea I have. Um, uh, oh, Wired Voyage says I think it's filmed in those places. Okay, awesome. So that's good to know. Ultimately, about production countries, ultimately, what I'm really interested in is like, is it a Hollywood film or not? And maybe that's going to be a little bit harder to determine based on the data that we could programmatically get. Um, it might just be that I ended up getting it manually. I hope not. Gilliam says, I don't imagine there's a 3D version of those relationship graphs. You could. I just don't tend to like most 3D visualizations. I think there's a way to do 3D visualizations well. Um, I'm just hesitant about a lot of them. So DT says, it seems like the production countries are the countries from where the production and co-production companies are from. See, thank you so much, DT. um, so if someone could give me guidance on how to handle production companies, do they include all countries in which filming or production took place? Or is it more limited than that? How are we defining production countries? Basically, the countries from where the production and co-production countries are from. The movie.com movie Bible. Wow. And the countries associated with the movie's production companies. Okay. While they're often the same, the main goal of the field is not to list the countries where the movie was filmed. No funded by countries. That's really interesting. Um, so actually, that's great to know. Because I think that does mean like if I just filter by um, whether the countries array, the production countries array has the US or not, then I should be able to get, presumably, um, at least by a good proxy that, it's a Hollywood film. Um, so yeah, so that was the progress I made yesterday on this data set, and I think I was a little bit hesitant to go into this stream today because I still don't fully know the like visualization that I want. Um, but I think that's just because I'm like trying to like come up with like one catch-all visualization for everything that we've explored, and um, I should just, whatever idea I do have, I should just like write that down. And yeah, so that's what we're going to do right now. So usually when I feel like I've had a good I've gotten a good understanding of the data set, then I kind of turn to my iPad to start sketching. I have a harder time with this when it's a personal project because like no client is being like, you should scope limit this. Or one of the things I really enjoy about working with client projects is then like I have like people to bounce ideas off of. Oftentimes, and so it like helps me scope down on the project. So when it's like a personal project, I'm like, the let me go everywhere. um, and so I kind of like I have a lot of trouble like restricting myself. Hence why this most recent client project is a really good exercise in restraint because I don't always have restraint when it comes to coding visualizations. um, Gilliam says, read 3D. Yeah, fair enough. I asked out of curiosity. Edorin says, hi, hello. Thanks for joining the chat. The one visualization to rule them all. Yes. So Pranav says, that seems really difficult to come up with one visualization that captures everything. The small visualizations are super cool with big light. Thank you. So yeah, I absolutely agree. That's why I like when I was like thinking about it, like I tried to like at least think and prep for our streams, and then when I was thinking about it, I realized that I was like trying to think of that one visualization. I'm like, that's really silly. I should just um draw out whatever idea I do have, and then maybe we can build on top of that. So the thing that I've had in my mind since um looking at these is I still want to use revenue and budget information. So that's the very first thing. It's going to be, let's see, revenue and budget. But I think I want it to be like over time. So right now, what we have in these, like what we have here is like every movie is represented as a bar chart, or like it's like the x-axis is um, categorical. So then there's no like sense of time. So sometimes there's like, years between certain movies. And I want to be able to capture that in this visualization. Um, Revenue and budget by essentially by like release date. So yeah, revenue and budget, and then I want the x-axis to be the year, and then the y-axis I do want it to be like dollars. But then yeah, so then what this does is it will all align. So everybody's timeline, like everybody's like projects will line up at Crazy Rich Asians, if that makes sense. Oops. So I had in my mind something like, so I have something like using, each line being, Okay, so I think this is what, okay, so I also want to be able to capture that um um the difference, so between revenue and profit, or sorry, revenue and budget, so that like I was also wondering like maybe should I just do it by profit, but then I think it's also interesting to be able to see like how much budget is given a project. Um, and then I also wanted to note um, if it's in the US or foreign. So yeah, so I think the very first thing I'm gonna try is a line chart. Um, but with like a little bit of customization. So I was thinking that um, so actually I had okay, let me try drawing this. So one of the ideas I had was something along the lines of like here's the budget and like here's the revenue. And then, what the difference between them is. Um, so that's an idea I had. And that's one movie. And then this is by year. So then like maybe that's like let's say this is like 2008 or something. Maybe this is like Crazy Rich Asians, and then it's oops. I haven't come up with a color palette yet, but um, and then so these are each movies, and then I was thinking like, does it make sense to? Oh, and then I was thinking if it's a you know like a non-US movie, then maybe it's we do it in gray or something like that. So actually, in that sense, what might be interesting is keeping them all the same color, maybe? I don't know. And then I was thinking about like, so maybe this is interesting for just like one person's filmography, but I actually wanted to see if there's like any trends. Like I wanted to be able to put them all on one chart. And so then I was thinking about like, um, what if I, you know, like connected them like it was an area chart? I don't know. And then so what's inside? So like kind of the difference gets. So like within there is the difference. And then that way, so actually, idea. Okay, so what might be really interesting is still by year. And then we can do budget. Ooh. I hope this doesn't get very messy. But what might be really interesting is if we do, I'm just using random colors. Each color could, maybe I could color by the cast member. But let's say, this is that person, and then like maybe sometimes they were in like maybe it was like a foreign film, and other times it was, uh, yeah, and then either it's, you know, wonder if this is weird. Like, if it's like, maybe if it's like an area underneath, that means that it was a loss. And then if it was like an area on top, it was a profit. Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Not sure what the shape should be. Like, should it be just like a bar on top? And then that way, you can have like multiple people. And then the fun part would be, let's say that, you know, this was Crazy Rich Asians. The fun part would be then we can see everybody's line crossed right here. So this is, let's say this is like 2018 and this is like Crazy Rich Asians. Then you can see everybody's lines. Let's do another color. I don't know what color to choose right now. Okay, let's say like, you know, this person like had this sort of a trajectory with their movies. And then like maybe it's that I'm gonna start making, so this is made up, but like maybe then we can see, oops, so maybe it's like, you know, and then now they're making, now they're then like it's like, now their films make a lot of profit. I'm not 100% sure about this. Gilliam says, today I learned how to write the and by hand in less than a minute. Did I write an and? Oh, yeah, I guess I did. Yeah. I think this might be fun. So I think maybe, again, maybe I'll do this only for like the top 6 cast members or something. And I think this, for example, will show that, like, for example, for like, I think the more I think about it, the inconstances data is so interesting that like for so many years, there's like no information whatsoever. Like, presumably there's such small movies that there's like no information whatsoever. And then oh, I think it'd be really interesting to like label that, like, you know, somewhere around here she had Fresh Off the Boat, and like that's maybe like what trajectory like got her to this movie or something. So certainly I think this should hopefully show I like that these are just like scribbles, but like oftentimes this is what my scribbles end up looking like. So this is like loss and profit. I also think it might be really interesting to do these like semicircles. And from a technical perspective, not that this should matter in the design, from a technical perspective, I think it'd be really interesting to like essentially, ooh, yeah, that'd be so interesting to write the code for if this was supposed to be like a semicircle and then it like isn't supposed to go below the line, to like clip it right here so then it doesn't go below the line. Anyways, yeah. I don't 100% know how this will look, if it will even look good or make sense. But I think it's certainly a fun first idea to explore. actually, that's technically not a budget thing. I labeled that incorrectly. So I have to admit, how much time and attention I put into these things really depend a lot on if I need to publish it or not. So now I'm just like, how do I make this look more presentable? Like, let's say this is like, so that might be a fun first one to try, and then we can try building this together on Monday, I think. But Hannah says it's so interesting to see how you brainstorm this. Yeah. Actually, I kind of like this idea. Like I kind of like this idea also. So I'm not gonna erase it yet. I think there might be something fun there too. So this one, I think, what did I label these on? This is budget. Yeah, so this is supposed to be budget and this is supposed to be revenue. So, but hopefully this way we can see, yeah, this way we can hopefully see multiple people. And I think another thing that would be interesting is like that this might show us, hopefully, is like the length of career for certain people. Yeah. Now, actually, another interesting thing might be to draw the baseline. So actually, let me copy this over. Oops. Copy and paste. So one of the things I did earlier during shelter in place is to take some lessons on Procreate, and I'm so happy that I did because I feel like this is giving me a lot of being a lot of fun. Like, I feel like it gives me so much more fine grain, essentially fine grain control over my sketching process. Also, random. I always get kind of amused by this story. Maybe it's not as funny to other people, but my husband doesn't do illustration or anything. So the first time I said to him, I said something like, "Oh yeah, this February I want to learn Procreate, which is this illustration, this iPad app." So I said this iPad app is called Procreate, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, this February, like next month, I want to learn Procreate." And he was driving, he stops, and he's like, "Excuse me." um, And then I had to take a pause and be like, "Oh yeah, Procreate means something completely different to normal people." To non, yeah. So that is a random story that always makes me giggle a little bit. So I wonder, I think it might be fun. So another idea I just had was to put CRA as the baseline. To kind of like, just like a subtle gray, actually I think it should be like a gray axis line, but to kind of put that as the basis. Might be fun. Yeah. Another thought I had was that I need to make sure to remember to update all of the money by inflation, because I'm not sure if, I think it just all of the revenue and budget figures I think are just whatever was recorded that year. So like, especially for some of these movies that are like, back in the 90s, like ones that are like back in the 60s, which I guess there isn't even really information for, but if there is, or even 79, there's some information, then we need to be able to like normalize by inflation. So that's something we need to also do. That was something I realized when I was thinking about this. Yeah, so here it is. Don't know how this will end up looking like once we plug the data into this. Hopefully it will be interesting. Yeah, yeah. Um, William says, was wondering how you would represent loss and profit. Yes. Um, BB asks, anyone know what app she's using to sketch? And Gilliam said, yes, it is in Procreate. Oh my god. Out of context is best. Yes. Quiet Deviant says, I like that story. Gilliam says we're all going to have very different ads from now on. Yes. When I shared that story, Alice had her own story too. Which I don't know if Alice minds me sharing, but like I think the high level story was that she was using Procreate because Alice is an illustrator. She was like using Procreate to sketch when she was out somewhere. And then a little boy came by and was like, "Ooh, what's that? Like, what are you using?" And she apparently responded Procreate. And then the little boy turned to the father and was like, "What's Procreate?" And the father was, I can't remember what the rest of the story was, but hopefully, Alice, you don't mind me sharing this in a very high level. But I really wonder what the creators were thinking when they named it Procreate. I mean, it's a really good name because it really is like, I think I'm just using it in a very basic way, but like it is a very powerful app for illustration on the iPad. But so I guess like it is, maybe it's like pro space create, I don't know, and procreate as in to make something, but certainly out of context it is a very troublesome name. Okay, so Quiet Deviant says they knew what they were doing, very tongue-in-cheek. Yes, I think so, but it leads to like some really yeah. um, Gillian says, "How did they brainstorm that name, though?" Yeah, exactly. I really want to know. And I'm like, how did they agree on this as the name? Because my husband certainly was like, "Excuse me, what?" Because the other definition is definitely a two-person decision, not a one-person decision. um, yeah, true. Gillian says, "Way to make people remember that name." So, okay, I'm very excited to create this with you. So, I guess from Wednesday on, we're going to move to D3 code. And I'm very excited to show you that part. And as you might have noticed with kind of like the dataviz process I've outlined, this last step is design and code because we're going to be like bouncing back and forth from kind of this kind of sketching out ideas to like implementing it in code, and then maybe like we'll see actually that like it doesn't quite work or it does work, and then like if it doesn't quite work we might like bounce back to the sketch slash design. It just, there's a lot of balancing back and forth, but yeah, but now we are armed with a lot of knowledge from this data analysis part. And then we also have some plans to potentially pull in cast and crew, pull in some director and producer information, and potentially to pull in some data from Joy Luck Club if it comes to it. But we will start with just this one thing for now. Wait. Pranav says, "Ooh, super excited. Are we going to use observable for the D3 part?" And yes, so for the design part, I'm going to keep it in observable. And then eventually, once like feel pretty happy with the charts, then I'll bring it into like my local setup, local dev setup. But actually, one of the things that I've been talking to the observable team about is they have a feature where you can embed. Like I think I haven't looked into it so much yet, but they have a feature where you can embed cells in like external web page. So that might be something that I explore also. Um, I'm not 100% sure yet. Whatever makes the most sense will do. But yeah, but for the prototype part, we'll still be using observable just because I really don't like the process of setting up a new project, even though it really does not take up that much time. Um, oh, yeah, to be fair, there is one D3 chart that we did on Wednesday, and it is this one. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I think that's everything for today. Thanks so much for joining again. I hope you had a fun time. I had a lot of fun, just kind of catching up and talking for like 40 minutes and then drawing this for like the last 30 minutes. Um, but have my laptop is indeed still burning. I'm very grateful that you still work laptop. Um, but have a great weekend. I hope the heat wave doesn't affect you too much. Thank you, DT, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye bye.